This week's readings in chapter 3 did a really, really good job of showing you many different visualizations that you can create in Excel. And I like this chapter because a lot of people don't know how to make these really neat graphics and visualizations. And since a lot of us are visual learners and like to see things visually, by you knowing how to create these graphs and charts can make you pretty popular at work and make you look really smart to be able to take a spreadsheet and to put it in lots of different types of formats. I think there was even a demonstration in the chapter about taking the same data and making, I believe it was 3 different charts with it, so to have different ways of visualizing the data. So I'm going to go through the assignment questions. They're pretty easy, and what you're going to notice is what we're doing this week builds on what we did last week from chapter 2. So I was told to make a pivot table and summarize the data in the data file that I have pulled up right here and use classes. And the classes that it wants, I've already put them down here. Now you'll remember from chapter 2, in order to get the count that we need, or we'll just call this, this is going to be the number of locations. And I'm going to wrap text on that. Okay. To do that, I have to start by getting my bins. So my bins, if you'll remember, are when you have a range, it's always going to be the highest value in that range. In this case, the highest value in each of our classes. And then what we're going to do right here is we're going to do formulas. And we're going to do frequency. And our data array is going to be our data we were given. Our bins array is going to be the bins we just put in. And so now I know how many locations are within each of, the number of locations that are between 0 and 9,999 and so on and so forth. So now I've got to put in a pivot table, and my pivot table is going to consist of the classes and the number of locations. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to tell it insert a pivot table, and my range is here already. I don't want to open a new workbook. I want it to pop up on this same screen so that you can see everything on one page. But if you were going to give the pivot table in a presentation, you would want to open it up on a whole new worksheet. But for here, I'm just going to say bring this out in G7 for us. Okay. Then my classes are going to be the column, and my number of locations are going to be, I'm sorry, got that backward. My number of locations will go in column, and my classes will go in row. Check my field setting. Should be on automatic. Okay. And these equal 20. So here's my pivot table, and I can make this different to where it comes up that way. It's a visual. My values don't actually change. I still have them. And I'm asked how many franchises have between 0 and 9,999 locations. And I can look on my pivot table and say there's 13. So my answer is 13. And then it says how many franchises have more than 30,000 locations. And the answer is 3. So it's pretty simple. The next question, I was given this data and told to create a column chart in Excel to display the information into a column chart. And so to do that, I am going to choose my data, insert, column. Then I was given some options I was given like 4 options to say which table or which chart is the correct chart based on this. So once I create this chart, I can just go through and look at the choices I'm given and then determine which one is the best fit. Okay, the last question is similar. It wants me to choose the correct bubble chart. And what I'm going to do on this one is I am going to select this data right here, insert a bubble chart. Now I'm going to do some different things on this chart. What I'm going to do is I do need it to have data labels, okay? So make sure you check data labels for this to work the way that it needs to. And then I'm going to double click on one of these values and make sure that I'm in this menu. And I'm going to say, I want those to be labeled with the values from here because I need it to be the project number. And so now I need to remove the y-axis. And then I will compare this chart to the options that I'm given in the question. Okay, pretty easy. Then lastly, I'm going to pull the screen over here because we don't have the software. It takes a different software to create this parallel coordinates plot. And you've got to look at this plot and determine which of these best describes what you're seeing here. So I'm just going to show you real quick what super important here for you to do this question is that, and it's really hard to see, and the more I blow it up, it looks like this, the worse it gets. But the blue line is in-store shopping, and the red line is online shopping. And then the age of the customers that were polled go from 23 to 64. Their annual income goes from 14,000, because it's in the thousands, to 154,000. And the distance from the nearest store in miles goes from 6 miles to 120. So when you're looking at this, for example, I think it's easier to eliminate and then see what's left. So in-store customers appear to be middle-aged, have higher annual income, and live further distance. So let's start by looking at the blue. Are they middle-aged? Well, if you look at the blue lines, they're the oldest. They have the oldest of the shoppers. And then we get on this side, we're looking at that, our miles, have higher annual incomes. So we can verify that we want to knock that out by looking at the blue line. Where does the blue line fall in annual income? It's saying it has higher. Well, it doesn't. The red line goes higher. So we can eliminate option 1. In-store customers appear generally younger, have lower annual income, and live near the store. So again, when we're looking at the age, for in-store, we can see the age is going down. Okay. Have lower end live near the store. Wow, I can kind of agree with that. But I need to work through 3 and 4 to confirm. So I'm going to leave this for you to do, and should be a pretty easy week for you and an easy assignment. But I think it's very, very valuable. Like I said, it can make you look really great at work. So good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.